Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The Euphrates River, one of the most historically and prophetically significant rivers in the world, has been undergoing a dramatic transformation. In recent years, large sections of the river have begun to dry up, leaving vast stretches of barren riverbed exposed to the sun. Once teeming with life and integral to the flourishing of ancient Mesopotamian civilizations, this river now lies in parts as a cracked and thirsty landscape. For many Christians, the increasingly visible desiccation of the Euphrates is not just an environmental concern or geopolitical issue, it is a profound spiritual signal. A growing number of believers are pointing to specific Bible prophecies that speak of the Euphrates in the context of the end times. And as the water level falls, awe rises. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The connection between the Euphrates River and biblical prophecy is long established, rooted especially in the book of Revelation. As the river recedes, the imagery that once seemed distant or symbolic to some begins to align with the present physical reality. The shock is not merely about watching a river shrink. It's about watching a specific river shrink, a river god named a river threaded through prophetic scripture. This isn't a random geographical occurrence in a faraway land. To millions, it's a direct echo of words written nearly 2 millennia ago. The Euphrates has long been seen as a natural boundary between the East and the West, both geographically and symbolically. It once separated empires, ideologies, and cultures. In prophecy, it's portrayed as a final frontier that, once removed, opens the gates to forces waiting to cross. The drying of this river, then, is not simply the loss of water, but the lifting of a divine restraint. The barriers fall away, and with that, a door to the prophetic future is flung wide open. What's astonishing is how this drying is occurring right now, during a time when global attention is stretched across wars, economic upheaval, and cultural shifts. It adds another layer to an already heavy era. Scientists and environmental analysts may point to drought, dams, or climate changes, and those explanations are valid from a physical standpoint. But for those attuned to the spiritual dimensions of world events, the coincidence is too exact, too scripted to ignore. The Euphrates is not just any river, it's a timeline. And that timeline is reaching its final chapter. Believers who have studied end-time scriptures know the reference well. The river, when dried up, makes way for kings from the east to advance. This element of preparation signals a shift from waiting to moving. It's about staging. When the river's natural waters retreat, the invisible floodgates of prophecy begin to open. Movement becomes possible, and movements, especially from the east, carry profound implications in the biblical narrative. It isn't necessarily about physical armies marching in our day, though some interpret it that way. It's more deeply about readiness. The barriers that once contained and restrained global spiritual forces are giving way. That has consequences not only on maps, but within souls. In the ancient world, the Euphrates sustained civilizations, fed crops, and provided water routes that shaped commerce and war alike. Its life-giving presence was so central to development that it earned mention in both Genesis and Revelation, the bookends of the Bible. That speaks volumes. To see the river now reduced to a shadow of its former strength is to watch the breath of an age exhale its final gasps. It's no exaggeration to say that for many believers, each receding drop of the Euphrates carries with it an acceleration of time, a quickening toward divine closure. What makes this moment so captivating is that it feels both surreal and unmistakably real. For decades, students of prophecy imagined such events happening in a far-off future. The imagery was often described in sermons or painted in dramatic interpretations, often treated with caution or symbolic analysis. But today, the images are real photographs, real satellite data, real first-hand reports. The Euphrates is drying before the eyes of the world, and as it does, the connection to the ancient text is impossible to sever. The words written so long ago don't feel distant anymore. They feel alive, moving, breathing. This is not about fear-mongering or sensationalism. It's about a moment of alignment that seems divinely orchestrated. In a world where spiritual signs often feel vague or subjective, this one is physically visible, geographically pinpointed, and directly linked to sacred text. That convergence is rare. It's not something that happens every generation. It's something that leaves witnesses stunned, not because they didn't believe, but because seeing belief reflected in reality is an awe of its own. There's a growing sense among many that the drying of the Euphrates is a prelude. It's the rustling of pages before the final chapter. It doesn't declare the end has come, but it suggests the stage is being set with precise care. That idea alone alters the way believers approach their lives, their callings, and their sense of urgency. Time becomes more precious. Spiritual readiness becomes more real. The world begins to look less like a random place spinning through chaos and more like a canvas painted with purpose. The Euphrates River's change is not happening in isolation. It comes at a time when global systems are shaking, morally, economically, politically. That backdrop only intensifies the prophetic tone. When the ground is already trembling, even small tremors feel significant. But the drying of a biblically central river is not a small tremor. It's a loud knock on the world's attention. It's a call to look deeper, to look up, and to realize that prophecy isn't merely something to study, it's something to live through. For those who have waited, prayed, and watched, this event serves as both validation and invitation. Validation that the scriptures are not myth or metaphor alone, but rooted in tangible truth. An invitation to draw closer, wake up spiritually, and align with the deeper story unfolding beneath the surface of world affairs. It's an hour that demands watching with eyes wide open and hearts fully alert. What makes this even more gripping is that the Euphrates prophecy isn't standalone. It's linked with other prophetic events, geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, cultural shifts, technological changes, and movements in Israel, all creating a mosaic that feels increasingly complete. Each piece slots into place with a precision that suggests orchestration rather than coincidence. The Euphrates may be the loudest signal at the moment, but it echoes in harmony with other signals sounding across the earth. The very soil around the Euphrates tells stories. Archaeologists have uncovered ruins from the earliest days of human civilization, places where kings ruled and battles were fought. That same soil is now cracking. The places that once saw the rise of kingdoms now whisper of a coming fall, not because of war or neglect alone, but because time itself is shifting. In prophecy, physical events often mirror spiritual realities. The drying river is a message. Things that once seemed immovable are now giving way. Foundations are shaking. Change is here. And yet, amid the awe, there is a call for discernment. This is not a time to speculate recklessly or sensationalize what is happening. It's a time to anchor deeply in truth, to reflect soberly on the season being entered. The Euphrates drying may not answer every question about the end times, but it certainly asks new ones. It presses on the conscience. It awakens the imagination. It reminds the believer that God's timeline does not sleep. It moves with patience until it moves with speed. The sheer weight of witnessing something foretold unfold in such visible form changes people. It shifts priorities. It brings questions to the surface that were once buried in routine. What does it mean to live prepared? What does it mean to be found watching? How do you interpret the signs of the times without becoming lost in fear or pride? The Euphrates doesn't give these answers, but it compels them to be asked. It doesn't finish the conversation, but it certainly starts a powerful one. Christian communities around the world are responding in different ways. Some are intensifying prayer, others are diving deeper into Scripture, while many are simply pausing in awe. This is not about exact dates or timelines, it's about recognizing moments that carry weight. And the drying of the Euphrates carries the kind of weight that doesn't easily fade from the Spirit. It lingers. It presses in. It reminds believers that their faith is not built on fiction, but on the firm foundation of a God who declares the end from the beginning. Even skeptics are taking notice, not always in belief, but in curiosity. When a river this ancient and this central to sacred history begins to vanish, it raises questions in even the most secular minds. What does it mean? Why now? How could words written so long ago come so close to the headlines of today? These are the kinds of questions that don't lead to easy answers, but lead to deep encounters for those willing to ask them with sincerity. The awe surrounding this event is not fleeting. It is building. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, What are your thoughts on the Euphrates prophecy possibly coming true right now? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.